Welcome back to the CryptoWorld channel, everyone. My name is Josh, and right now the Bitcoin price is getting close to an important decision while it's running into some short-term resistance alongside Ethereum. And I'll be talking about all of that and more later in the video. Definitely stick around. First of all, just giving you a quick update on what the US stock market did today, and this right here is the Nasdaq 100 index on the daily time frame. And obviously, after we've reached this technical price target for this previous ascending triangle pattern, we're currently seeing the Nasdaq 100 index run into a bit of short-term resistance around these levels. But it's not just any resistance, because when you draw out the Fibonacci retracement tool from swing high to swing low, what we can see here is the fact that the Nasdaq 100 index has now gotten a rejection from the golden pocket, the most important Fibonacci level. And so it's very important for the Nasdaq 100 index to break above this golden pocket, which is sitting at around 13,500, going up towards around 13.6k towards the top of the golden pocket. Because if the Nasdaq 100 index does not break above this golden pocket, then we could be in a similar situation to what we saw towards the end of March entering into early April. Because if you're looking at that time in the market, drawing out the Fibonacci retracement tool from swing high to swing low, what we can see is a perfect rejection from the exact golden pocket towards the end of March entering into early April. And it was also at that time where we did actually see 1 month of CPI inflation declining. But due to things like commodity prices continuing to rise, we continue to see inflation to rise in the following months after April. And so obviously, if you're looking at what happens next across the stock market and the crypto market after April, that just goes to show how important it is for CPI inflation to continue to come down and how important this golden pocket is as a technical indicator. And not only is the Nasdaq 100 index currently running into the golden pocket level of resistance, we're also starting to see a small bearish divergence beginning to form at the moment, because obviously we're seeing higher highs at the moment in the daily candle closes, but the daily RSI is currently forming lower highs. And the last traditional bearish divergence that we saw on the daily time frame for the Nasdaq 100 index was all the way back here in November last year, right at all-time highs. Obviously we formed higher highs but lower highs in the RSI. And if you're new to this channel, what a bearish divergence means on the daily time frame is that we're due to see reduced bullish momentum over the coming weeks. So in summary, I would simply be cautious about the Nasdaq 100 index at the moment while we're below the golden pocket. Of course, if we see a confirmed breakout above the golden pocket, and let's just say if we flip it into new support, then in that case, I would start to flip much more bullish again. But while the Nasdaq 100 index is still finding resistance at this golden pocket, then we need to be aware that we do have some potential downside risk at the moment. And also, in case you're new to this channel, the reason why I'm even covering the US stock market in a crypto video is because generally speaking, on these larger moves in the market, tech stocks are very correlated with crypto and vice versa, which means if we see a major dump across the Nasdaq 100 index, then it's very likely we could see a similar thing across the crypto market. And if we see a major pump in the Nasdaq 100 index, then it's very likely we could see something similar across crypto. And speaking of crypto, getting into the Bitcoin part of this video, this right here is the daily time frame. And right now, if you're looking at the daily Bitcoin RSI, we're getting very close to an important decision, where basically the daily Bitcoin RSI would have to break above this resistance or below this support sometime, most likely within the next 1 week, according to this converging range. And if you're looking at history, obviously a break below support in the daily Bitcoin RSI is not good for the Bitcoin price. But obviously on the flip side, if we see a breakout in the daily Bitcoin RSI above this line of resistance, that would invalidate this previous bearish divergence that is currently still actively forming on the charts, because we're still forming higher highs in the price action but lower highs in the RSI. But for now, when it comes to the daily Bitcoin RSI, it's simply a waiting game. We need to wait and see if the RSI will either break resistance or break support in order to further confirm the next leg in the Bitcoin price. But if you're looking at the Bitcoin price itself on the daily time frame, this is technically a rising wedge pattern, which is technically more of a bearish pattern than a bullish pattern, meaning that around 7 times out of 10, this type of pattern breaks to the downside, and around 3 times out of 10, it breaks to the upside. So it's more likely to break to the downside, technically speaking. And for that, we'll need to watch this ascending line of support coming into play at around $23,000 per Bitcoin. And this ascending line of resistance is currently coming into play at around 24,500. And if you're zooming into the shorter term, taking a look at the 4-hour Bitcoin chart, at the moment, we do have an active bearish divergence as well in the immediate short term, which means technically speaking, we're due to see reduced bullish momentum, which can either be in the form of choppy sideways price action or perhaps a bit more of a shorter term pullback. And so due to this shorter term bearish divergence over the next few hours, maybe over the next day, I don't expect a lot of bullish price action like this or like this, for example. And if you're looking at the overall trend in the 4-hour Bitcoin RSI and the 4-hour Bitcoin MACD, technically speaking, we're looking more neutral above anything else. We're not looking overly bullish or overly bearish in terms of the shorter term trend at the moment. So like I said yesterday, I'm still expecting mostly choppy sideways price action within this resistance and this support until we start to see some more momentum finally come into play. And obviously this range of resistance and this range of support hasn't moved since yesterday. So if you want to know the exact prices, check out my last video on the channel. And now getting into the Ethereum part of this video, this right here is the daily Ethereum chart. And technically speaking, we're still within an active formation of a bearish divergence at the moment because the price is still forming higher highs while the RSI is currently sitting in a lower high structure. But like I've been saying, if the RSI forms a brand new higher high, so if the daily RSI for Ethereum breaks above around 68 to 69, which is this previous high back in the middle of July, then in that case, if the RSI is forming a higher high alongside the price action, then obviously that would invalidate this bearish divergence. But for now, we're yet to actually see that. And once again, as I always say, it is important to understand that the daily time frame does not give us immediate short-term signals. And instead, the daily time frame, especially these bearish divergences, really tell us what's potentially to come over the coming weeks, if not months, rather than the coming hours or days. If you want to know that, you look at smaller time frames like the 4-hour chart. And so just as the price of Ethereum continued to push higher in the short term up towards the all-time high while this bearish divergence was forming, that short-term bullish price action still did not invalidate the larger bearish divergence that was forming that eventually signaled more bearish price action over the coming months. But anyway, zooming into the 12-hour Ethereum chart, and right now we're technically still forming this rising wedge pattern, which is technically a bearish pattern once again. But obviously, as of right now, we have not seen a confirmed break from this pattern, so the resistance that we need to watch is coming into play at around 1930, and more importantly, the support that we need to watch is coming into play at around 1750. And if the price of Ethereum confirms a break below that support level, then the technical price target for this rising wedge pattern right here is coming into play at around $1,400. But it is important to mention that that price target only comes into play if we see a confirmed break below this level of support. But until then, technically speaking, this uptrend is still intact. We haven't confirmed a bearish reversal just yet, despite the formation of bearish patterns at the moment on the charts, which are currently just signs to be cautious at the moment. But we still haven't yet confirmed another bearish reversal as of right now. And when you zoom into the shorter term, taking a look at the 4-hour time frame, this is still the case at the moment in the short-term trend. Technically speaking, we're still forming higher lows and higher highs, which is obviously a bullish trend. But despite the price still technically being within a bullish trend, right now we're due to see a bit of a short-term cool-off. If you're looking at the RSI, we recently entered into overbought territories in the 4-hour Ethereum RSI. And if you simply look at the last couple times we saw this happen, we saw a short-term cool-off in the price of Ethereum before we resumed the bullish trend. And when it comes to important support and resistance levels in the short term, right now for resistance, I'll be looking towards around 1930 approximately. And for support, I'll be looking towards around 1700. And in fact, this pattern right here is known as an ascending broadening wedge pattern, which is technically a bearish pattern. And I promise you, if I find any sort of significant bullish pattern, I'll be sure to mention it, because I try to stay as unbiased as possible on this channel, meaning that if I find a bullish pattern, I'll share it. If I find a bearish pattern, I will share it. And if you were watching my videos around 1 to 1.5 months ago, back around here when we saw a bullish ascending triangle pattern in the Nasdaq, for example, then obviously I was mentioning that pattern on the channel at that time, calling for bullish price action. But now that we've already seen a lot of bullish price action over the past couple months or so, we're simply starting to see a few more bearish patterns start to pop up. But anyway, as I said, the level of support to watch for this ascending broadening wedge pattern is around 1700. And if we confirm a break below that level, then the technical price target is at the base of this ascending broadening wedge, which is coming into play at around 1560 to 1570. But once again, that price target only comes into play if we see a confirmed break below 1700 first. And so until then, technically speaking, we haven't yet confirmed a bearish reversal, so we're still in a bullish trend, obviously. And if you want to know how to make money in all of these moves in the market, not just the bullish moves, but also when we go down or chop around sideways, then check out these videos popping up right here on your screen. The video in the top left shows you how to make make money in crypto if the price is going either up or down, and the video in the bottom left shows you how to make money in crypto if the price is chopping around sideways. But anyway, that is everything that I have to say for today. I really hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you all in the next video.